5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I watch the television, I'll read the news. I see America's youth learn to sing the blues. I see this stupid shit go on day after day, and I wonder when the politician will take it all away. I am the Watchmen, out on patrol. I see my nation crumble.
You are listening to WatchmenRadioNetwork.com, radio that patriots can depend on. Join us each week for awesome shows and kick-ass music.
Welcome back. You're listening to Watchmen Wednesday with your host Freebyrd here at WatchmenRadioNetwork.com. Thank you for joining us this evening. Let me share a vision with you. I've had a lot of people ask me about this, and even recently want me to share this. I've shared it many times in the past, different occasions, but I've come to realize that some people are visionaries. I could sit here and describe something and they can perfectly get a picture in their head of what I'm talking about, while the majority of the people out there, not so much. Maybe they need to see a video or a movie or pictures to develop an image in their mind of what I'm about to tell you. Hopefully, you fall into the category of people who can listen to my words and create this vision in your mind of what I'm talking about. So, I want you to imagine that in your state, whatever state you live in, a physical location of a place that's situated on anywhere from 200 to 300 acres of land. And inside this place, you're going to find a very large building that would be considered, for lack of a better description, a main lodge building. And inside that building would include things such as a motel, an armory where you have an armorer, a person who's experienced in working on and repairing weapons, things of that nature. You've got a gear store where you could walk in there and find anything you could possibly want in the way of tactical gear, survival food, water, medical supplies, those types of things that everybody who has a preparedness or survival mindset would want or need. There's a restaurant inside this facility. There's a section cordoned off that has classrooms and conference rooms and even a convention center area. And further out into the grounds of this place, you would find gun ranges of several different types, pistol ranges, rifle ranges, indoor range. You're going to find obstacle courses for training areas, both in a wooded environment and an urban combat training environment. There's even a campground area where people can pull in with their campers or RVs, and in addition to that, there's a couple of dozen little small log cabin-looking places that you could sleep. Imagine that it has numerous hiking trails, bike trails. There's even a 3 to 5 acre pond or small lake on this property. Imagine that there's all kinds of stuff for the kids too. There's a swimming pool, there's playgrounds, game room where they can play games. There's a large, flat, scratched out area where there's an open air market where, say for instance, flea market vendors would set up, 200 or 300 of them would set up to have an open air market. There's an outdoor amphitheater where concerts could take place, special events, festivals, those types of things. The place is completely surrounded in its perimeter by around-the-clock 24-hour security. It has a gated entrance, and that it is an exclusive membership situation. I know it may be hard, but I want you to imagine that place. What would it look like in your mind? Imagine pulling into the drive, and there's the guard shack with the gate and a couple of very courteous, well-dressed security people there. They check your ID, welcome you into the facility. You go in there, you pull up there to the building, and someone valets your car for you and ushers you into the entrance area where we roll out the red carpet for you. And you've got all of these things at your disposal as an exclusive member of this facility. Can you wrap your head around that for a moment? Can you grasp that vision of what I see? Now, additionally, this place is set up with a bunker that has safe places that you can go underground. It's fully stocked with emergency supplies, emergency food and water, medical supplies, things of that nature. And it can service a multitude of people. We're talking hundreds of people. And on top of that, this entire place is self-sufficient. It's off the grid, both in water and power. It's completely off grid. Can you get that picture in your mind of what a place like that would look like? What it would represent, what it would be, the things you could do there. You know, if you want to take a weekend and go do some classes, there's classes being offered all the time there. Place employs approximately 70 to 80 people to make all this function and operate properly. Maybe you want to take a break and spend a weekend in one of the little cabins, and you and your family just chill out, you know, spend some time by the water, swim, recreational stuff. Can you get this picture in your mind of a place like that and what it could mean for you as a member if something were to happen that you needed a place to go, a rally point? You know, that's the biggest question in a lot of people's mind out there right now. You know, they try to have a survival mindset, a preparedness mindset, and they think, you know, well, if shit hits the fan, where would I go? I don't have any land anywhere. I don't have a place I can bug out to. Imagine that you could bug out here to this place. Imagine that maybe you can't get to the place, so they send somebody out to get you, to usher you in there, to make it available to retrieve you, to make sure you make it to this rally point. Imagine that a disaster comes through and wipes out your entire neighborhood, and you've got no home left. Maybe you were a renter, or maybe you owned your own home, but it's gone now. Where would you go? Well, here's a place you could go and start rebuilding your life and getting back on your feet. You would not have to worry about being homeless. You would not have to be worried about going hungry. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm seeing. Now, what I want you to do is take this one step further. Imagine if you do have a picture of this place I'm talking about, this phenomenal facility. I would like you to imagine that they exist in many, many states. They're almost as numerous as Walmarts. I don't know how many of you have really sat back at your little trip to Walmart and go way out into the parking lot and look back at that building and imagine how big that building is and what amount of space is in that building. And imagine that building, one maybe not quite that big, but one similar, is sitting on 200 or 300 acres of land. By the way, you know, the campground has its own full-service little grocery store. Everything you could possibly need is in this facility. And I want you to imagine that there isn't just one, there's many, in many states. So let's say, for instance, you're wanting to zip off and take your family to Florida. There's a place like this in Florida. that you can go to. As a member, you have the exclusive right to have access to this place. Can you wrap your head around what I'm seeing? Can you get the same vision that I'm talking about here? Now, I want you to imagine that this entire place that we're talking about, and I know I'm not getting all of it in, all of the amenities that exist in this place. There's probably many I've overlooked here. But it's a totally self-sufficient place. Matter of fact, it has its own little miniature motel in there. Maybe you're traveling on the road and it's late at night and you don't have much money, or for whatever reason you need a place to stay instead of pulling over at some truck stop somewhere, and there happens to be one of these facilities nearby. You can go there, and there's motel rooms in there that you can check into. Can you get the idea? Is this image starting to develop in your mind of what this place would look like? Seems impossible, don't it? It seems like, wow, that's miraculous. But it's not really. There's really not all that much to it, Very small pieces all brought together into one big place. Small pieces, that exist everywhere, grocery stores, little mom and pop grocery stores, campgrounds exist here or there, restaurants exist just about everywhere, gun ranges exist in many places. All these amenities, though, are in one place. And what I want you to grasp a hold of here, what if I told you that place that seems so phenomenal could be built for about $8 million. All it would take would be $8 million to make that vision a reality. We're talking a reality here. Being able to actually drive in that gate and drive up to that building and experience all the things I've just talked about. $8 million is what it would take to build it. By the way, we would probably be employing, if you gathered all the different facilities together, with the number of employees, you're probably talking about putting more people to work than Obama did during his whole 8 years as president. Can you get your head wrapped around that idea? That if we could build a place like that, it would solve a multitude of problems for a great number of people that feel like, I'm kind of stuck here between a rock and a hard place. I want to be a survivalist. I need to prepare, but I can't afford it really. It costs a lot of money to stockpile a year's worth of food for my family. It's just money that I don't have. And I don't own any land. If I can't stay in my house for whatever reason, whatever the situation may be, maybe it's a total economic or government collapse, and the shit hits the fan and you're forced out of your neighborhood because it's being overrun by gangs and marauders, and you, to save your family, you had to bug out. But you got no place to go. So here's a solution. You've got a place that you could go. And if it only took $8 million to build it, I was talking about the NRA a while ago, and how they're looking at much bigger numbers. They're looking at $200 million. They're very simple numbers. They just have a whole bunch of zeros behind them. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you had $200 million, if I could write you a check right now that you could walk down to a bank and cash it for $200 million, how many of these places could you build in the various states in 1 year? You got to remember, folks, this money we're talking about that I've shared with you about the NRA, that's per year. How many of these places could you build in a year's time? Quite a few, right? Quite a few. Now, what would it take to make that happen? Because the NRA does it. They do it year in and year out by selling 5 million memberships and raising $200 million. $35 at a time. $35 at a time. They're making that $200 million happen year after year after year. We're talking reality here. We're talking about an organization that says, look, come join us, support the cause, we're going to protect your Second Amendment rights, give us $35 a year, and they raised $200 million. How many, I want to ask a question, how many guns, how many AR-15 rifles has the NRA given away? How many funerals of their loyal members had they paid for who didn't have the money to bury their family? How many vehicles have they repaired or bought to help their members in distress because they lost their vehicle? Maybe it was lost in a wreck or whatever. It broke down and they can't get to work. How many of those situations has the NRA reached out and helped? How many bottles of medicine has the NRA bought for these veterans in need? And better yet, how many of these veterans that are homeless have they tried to help them off the streets of America from living out of a shopping cart behind some dumpster somewhere? How many veterans did they help with their $200 million? I know these numbers are big. A lot of people can't even grasp them. You know, when you start writing the number out, $200 million, I know the numbers seem astronomical, but it's a number of reality is what they bring in. So if I were to write you a check for $200 million, and you had the ability to go out here and build these types of facilities designed to provide people with the things they need. There's some recreation, there's some entertainment, but there's more important things about this facility. It becomes a safe zone. It becomes a rally point. It becomes a training area. It becomes a safe haven when the storms come. How many could you build with $200 million? So then people look at me and they say, well, what would it take for Watchmen of America to make that happen? If that is a mission, if that is a goal, if that is a vision that the Watchmen of America would like to see become a reality, what would it take for the Watchmen of America to make that vision a reality? Well, the answer is quite simple. It's basic math. Unless you were raised in an environment with Common Core, we could actually we can do the math, right? We're talking about $8 million to build one of these facilities. One facility. So you get your calculator out and you say, well, we'll take the number 8 million. And let's suppose we can go out and recruit Watchmen people to become Watchmen members and pay us $40 a year to join. We're looking at a number of 200,000. Keep that number in your head, 200,000. So we're talking pure, raw, down-to-earth, bottom-line reality here. If we all could go out here tomorrow and get 200,000 red-blooded, dedicated, hardcore American patriots that would say to themselves, you know what, I like that. I like that idea. I like that vision. I want to be a part of that. What would it take? How can I be a part of that? How can I live that experience? And you tell them it only takes $40. 200,000 of you pay $40 in membership dues. We've got the $8 million we need to make this a reality. Not a dream, not a vision. Now it becomes reality. Now 200,000 seems like a big number. But I would imagine in a country with over 350 million people, there's quite a big, large number of patriots out there. I know there's at least 5 million dedicated hardcore gun owners that are giving the NRA their money every year. 5 million. Compare that number to the 200,000 that I'm saying it would take to make this a reality. That's more realistic to me. If I could gather 200,000 patriots together and say, look, we can create a solution for ourselves. Right here, right now, we can start making things become a reality. But suppose we want to make things happen at a faster pace, and we have a bigger goal than just 200,000. Now, I want you to stay with me here. It's very important. Very, very important, because I'm going to tie all of this this vision I'm talking about, into what we were talking about earlier about collectiveness and a call to action. How important those things were, and they still are. But let's set our goal a little bit higher, because it's a realistic goal. We know it's realistic. How do we know it's realistic? Because the frickin' NRA can get 5 million people to give them $35 a year to do absolutely fucking nothing but pay a bunch of politicians to vote the way they should have voted to begin with. We shouldn't have to pay them to vote against anti-gun legislation or lobby these politicians to support certain causes. We shouldn't have to pay them. They should be up there representing themselves according to the oath of the Constitution they took. But that's what the NRA does. They spend a small amount of that money, that $240 million, to pay politicians to the tune of $55.6 million last year. $55.6 million would build a hell of a lot of these facilities I'm talking about, wouldn't it? That's what they gave away. That's what they spent on politicians and helping to get certain people elected. They put them in what they call super PACs. You know what super PACs are. It's where they dump a whole lot of money in to support a certain campaign, right? They gave that amount away. $55.6 million. They gave it away. So, back to our example. I want to set the goal a little bit higher because I think the number is realistic, folks. Maybe you could agree with me or disagree. That's okay. But I want to set the goal at 1 million people. I think we can find 1 million patriots in this country, right? Would you agree with me or not? 1 million patriots that realize I need things. I need a place to go if shit hits the fan. I need supplies. I need to be able to get things. I need a place to take my family and know they're safe. And if there was a facility like that in my state, that's where I'd want to go, and that's where I'd want to be and be a part of it. I don't see why anybody in their right mind would not want to be a part of that for $40 a year. Do you? For $40. And if I have set the goal at 1 million, which a lot of you out there would say, well, maybe that's too high. That's a lot of people. Well, of course it is. But it's not an unrealistic number. It's just a matter of how many people can we reach and get this vision in front of them and say, look, you can be a part of something much, much, much bigger than we ever imagined. We can make miracles happen here. All we need is 1 million people that says, you know what, I believe. I see that vision. I need what that represents in my life. I want to be a part of it. I'll give you my $40. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. If you and I could go out here and find 1 million patriots that says, you know what, I want to be a part of a game changer here. I want in on this vision becoming a reality. Here's my $40. Let's get started. Let's get started. Let's start breaking ground somewhere. Let's get these things built. Folks, it's no hard thing here to realize you just raised $40 million. That's all it took. It took 1 million people to say, you know what? I like it. I believe this. I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. I want to know that my $40 is, I want to put it in something that I can go and do and experience and put my hands on. I don't need any more gun magazines or stickers to go on the back of my truck. I need a place that I can take my family and be safe. So we just took 1 million people that believed in this and said, you know what, we're ready for it. We're past beyond the point of being ready. We want to do this. We want to start making this happen. And we just raised $40 million. Hopefully you're staying along with me. We said it only takes $8 million to build one. The land don't have to be real pretty. We're not talking about land that's pristine. We're talking about a place that might only need about 20 acres to build what we need to build. The rest of it is we want it to be wooded land. We want to train in some of that land. There's going to be a lake. If there's not water there already, we're going to put a lake in. But we're going to build combat ranges and places for hiking trails. And for God's sake, people can bring their damn horses there and ride horses. You know, the land don't have to be pretty, but we need 200 or 300 acres. But we said we can build this for $8 million. Well, I could build several of these at the same time if they only cost $8 million, right? Wouldn't that be the smart thing to do? Let's not just build one. Let's start 3 of them. Let's get 3 of them going. That's $24 million. Are you with me so far? Have you got this in your head? It's a numbers game. It's as simple can get. 1 million people, $40 a year. In 1 year, you've raised $40 million. Now we've got something to work with, right? Now we've got a purse of money that we can make miracles happen. We can turn that money into a game changer here. Do you remember earlier how I said we need to help each other? We need to have a collective. And yes, we may need to go out and help people out in the community. We need to help our veterans. You know, we just did a tribute to 4 lost police officers right now whose families, whose wives and children have lost a vital part of that family. What are they sitting there thinking right now? Maybe he was the only breadwinner. They're in desperate shape. Maybe she didn't have insurance to bury him. How would it make you feel to be able to go over there and say, you know, honey, don't cry. Don't worry about this. We're going to help you. We're the Watchmen of America. We're here for you. And we can do that over and over and over again, because I'll tell you what I want to do. We don't need the whole $40 million. Here's what I would propose that you and I do. You know, we need to help people. We don't want to constantly have to go back to our members every single week, every month of the year and say, you know, we got this person over here needs a car, their car broke down, or this person needs to bury someone in their family, or this person's home got wiped out and they've got no place to live. We're going to put out a call to action. We need you to give a few bucks. We don't need to do that, because I'm going to propose to you that we take 10 million of that 40, only 10 of it, $10 million, and we set that money aside. You set that money aside and you say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to allocate that amount of money to help every poor soul out there that we can. I don't know about you, but for me, that's the best thing we could possibly ever do. It's a game changer. Why? Because it's going to impact people's lives on a scale like they've never imagined before. If you've got a Watchmen member living in Kansas and a tornado comes through and wipes out that whole damn house, and they're standing there with nothing, they're lucky to have survived, the last thing they need to worry about now is, well, God, I've lost everything. I got no clothes, no food. I don't even have a place to lay down my head. Guess what? We got you. We got this. We got a facility that you can come live in. We got cabins you can live in. You can live in the motel. We're going to make sure you don't have no place to go. We're going to put you up. We're going to get you the clothes you need. There's food here. Hell, we got restaurants, grocery stores. Help yourself. And in the meantime, let's talk about getting you a new home somewhere. When you've got $10 million, folks, you could do that. You could take that $10 million and take a small portion of it and simply buy them a damn house and say, look, here's your new home. We're very sorry that happened to you. It's unfortunate, we know, but we don't want you to suffer that way in life. We're going to help you. Somebody comes to us and says, you know what, I ran into a veteran the other day who was pushing a shopping cart. He's been living behind the dumpster over at the local 7-Eleven. And I've gotten to know him. He's a very nice person. He's just a poor, pitiful shape. I sure would like to do something to help him. Guess what? What could you and I do with that $10 million to help that poor soul? Are you beginning to see the picture that I'm seeing here? And every single Watchman, all 1 million of them that joined and paid that $40 in, can stand proud and know where that money went. Because we're changing lives day after day after day. And we're making an impact that nobody else is out there willing to do. Even when they have the money, they're not willing to do it. When you think in terms of some of these charitable organizations like the Red Cross, who took in $500 million during Hurricane Sandy and didn't help a soul, they've got the money to do these things. Are they doing it? No. They're not. They're not doing it. So people ask me, they say, you know what, Freebyrd, that's a hell of a vision. I got to hand it to you. I got the whole picture in my mind. I can see myself driving up to that entrance and pulling out my ID card, and the guards smiling and saying, welcome, Mr. Jones. Come on in, fellow watchman. Pull on up there to the building and enjoy our facility with you and your family. They say I can see that happening. I've got that picture in my mind. It's absolutely splendid. I like the idea that, not only do we look after our own Watchman family, our collective, we have a collective of 1 million people now. We're damn sure going to look after them if they need something. Now, we don't want people just screaming to be wanting something, an extra car, or, hey, my old TV went out, could you buy me a widescreen TV? We're not talking about that. We're talking about true, honest-to-God, down-to-earth hardship cases where people are desperate in their lives and need help. They're going hungry, they can't pay their utility bills, they've lost their job, they've lost their vehicle, they've lost their loved one, and they are crying for help. They don't know what they're going to do. I know what to do. And I know how we can do it. And they'll ask me, they'll say, well, Freebyrd, what's it take to make all that happen? What's it going to take to make that vision of what Watchmen can be? What's it going to take to make that a reality? And I look at them and I say, you know what? I'll tell you what it takes. It takes 1 million people in America to stand up and say, I'm ready. I want this to happen. That's all it takes. If you and I were to go out here right now, and for whatever miraculous reason we could gather 1 million people together, and they see this vision, and they all pull out their pockets and say, here's my $40. Guess what? Tomorrow, we'd be breaking ground somewhere on making this a reality. I know it's a lot to swallow. Sometimes it's a lot to try to wrap your head around. But it's really not that difficult, because it can be real. It's just numbers on a ledger sheet. That's all it takes. You start with 100, then you go to 1,000, you go to 10,000, you go to 100,000, 1 million. You build and you build and you grow and you grow and you share that vision. How fast can we make it happen? It can happen as fast as it takes to get 1 million people to see that vision. It can grow and become a reality tomorrow if only we could reach 1 million people that would say yes. Yes to the Watchmen. Yes to doing the right thing. Yes to being able to be a part of a game changer. Not just for ourselves, but for all of America, is the way I see it. Hopefully you all have been able to see the vision I see and the potential of what we need to become as Watchmen of America. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you this evening. Everyone stay safe. God bless America.
I cry for my country, for the pain that it's been through. She's been made to suffer for the profit of a few. Storm clouds are forming, winds of change now touch our shores. Our heat forefathers are crying as the dream's been crucified. America, I show my love for thee with strength and loyalty. America, I show my love for you in all that I do. All that I do. I pray for my country and for friends and family, mourning in their ignorance while staying safe within a dream. I will fight for freedom and ways of liberty. I die for my country, slaying corporate dynamic. I show my love for thee with strength and loyalty. America, I show my love for you in all that I do. I see it in your eyes, the love you have inside. Your eyes, the love you have inside. I cry for my people in this time of tragedy. I just want some answers